If you want to learn how to do trapunto and cut work, this video is for you. Even if you don't have this amazing Anita Goodesign design that's called Heirloom Centerpieces, you can still learn how to do it. Of course, I put my own twist to it and I made it Halloween. So keep watching. Hey everybody, and welcome back. My name is Sue and I'm from OML Embroidery, and today you saw what we're going to be working on. So the first thing I like to do is get everything ready. Now if you don't know about these sweet pea rulers, y'all should look at it because they are amazing. So I'm pre-cutting my batting that we're going to use underneath, and it just makes it so much easier. Of course, if you know how to use a rotary cutter better than I do, it would be easier even still, but I don't know why I didn't edit that out. But anyways, moving along. So I get everything ready, pick out your fabric. Now you can use traditional fabrics for this, or you can be, crazy like me and use gorgeous Halloween fabric. So what I decided to do is do white and orange matching kind of prints. So the top one is the bats, the bottom one is, just Halloween pictures. So the first thing to do is stitch your outline, and we're going to put the batting down on it. So use your frame forward, and the batting fits almost perfectly, so you have to be a little careful, make sure you get it on. I use a little bit of spray. You don't want to use too much because we're going to have to cut out parts of this batting. So then it's going to stitch down, and you can see how close it is. It is almost perfect. I am really happy with that. I just love pre-cutting everything because you could sit and cut, as many as you needed of these squares, and it's just awesome. So normally in a quilt block, we would just simply add our top fabric, but for this one, we're going to do some trapuntos. So leave it on, and it's going to stitch out the placement for the trapunto. Sorry about the camera. I was trying to catch it in white thread and it didn't work very well. So it's just going to do outlines basically like applique, except for you're not going to cut anything yet. So once that's done, put another piece of batting on top of it, and you could use scraps for this. That's handy. Just make sure everything is covered. Put it back on the machine, and it is going to stitch down the trapunto fabric, which is the batting. So it's just going to hold it down, so make sure it's covered properly, and as with applique, it's going to stitch it twice. So here we are at the end of that. Everything is down. Now you have 2 layers of batting underneath the trapunto. So the next step is for you to cut the trapunto out. So you trim it out. If you're using scrap pieces of batting, this would be easier because you wouldn't waste any. The pieces are relatively small enough, so if you have a stash, do it that way. Once that's done, now we can add our top fabric. So we have 2 layers of batting, and we're going to put the fabric over that. And that's the trapunto effect. It gives you nice height where the trapunto is, and it really adds to the design. So yeah, add your top fabric, stitch it down, make sure everything stays flat. It'll look better. It's going to stitch it down twice, which is awesome, of course. And the next step is going to be some of the trapunto work. So it is going to use a back stitch or a bean stitch, whichever one works, and it's going to outline the trapunto. So and it looks darker rather than just a single stitch. And if you were to touch it, you would be able to feel how high the trapunto is. I took pictures of it, but I couldn't quite capture the beauty of it. And I thought, why not? This looks awesome. This looks really awesome with the fabric, the Halloween fabric too. So I'm loving it. So there, that is Part 1, trapunto. That is how you do the trapunto, and I think it's really amazing for a centerpiece like this. Or you could do a table runner, or you could do, you know, placemats, depending on what size you do. And it's awesome. So this would apply to any embroidery design that now you know how to do trapunto and why to do trapunto. It looks fantastic. So the next step, other than all the pretty details, it's going to do some satin stitches just to make it look better. It's kind of close to my bats, but I didn't fussy cut anything. We're going to do the quilting, and that's just going to hold everything down. And what I really like about this and the fabric is the quilting is really tight. It's really close together, and so it flattens the batting down, which makes the trapunto stand up even more. If you look at the trapunto flowers, you will notice there's a space, and that's going to show you the difference. I love it. So once it's done with the quilting, we're now going to do the back fabric. Now I kind of stitched this out and forgot to put the back on. So don't forget to put the back on. So it didn't really matter. I don't have to unpick anything. It was just, you know, an oversight on my part. So take it out, turn your hoop around, pick your backing fabric. And again, I'm using layer cakes, pre-cuts, and I'm using light colored. And I really like this fabric too. I thought it was a bit too busy for the trapunto, but maybe it would have worked. I don't know. So tape it down, glue it down. I think my brother PR 1000E does not mind tape, so I can use it. My dream machine hates tape, so I never use it. And it's going to stitch the backing down, but not completely. And there's a reason for this. We got to do some really good sewing to make this complete. So it's only going to do halfway and not even completely halfway. That's what it's supposed to do, so don't worry about that. Again, there's a reason for it. Part 2 of this video, I'll show you guys how to sew it together. So now the cut work. Now we're beginning the cut work. So it is going to, almost like applique, give you an outline of what you are going to be cutting. Now this may seem a little fiddly, and it is. You have to be careful. Oh, did you see the tape? I guess it doesn't like tape. Oh well. Oh well. So I have little scissors that are sharp to go in there. And what you are trying to do is you're going to cut the fabric and the batting, but not the water soluble stabilizer. So I use the little scissors just to get in there. And remember, I'm using the really thick batting, so it's hard, so I cut the fabric then the batting. If you can do it neat enough with cutting both at the same time, that's fine. Make sure you get in the corners, but you can see the fabric through, and you can see that it's just the water soluble or WSS left over. So I started with the really sharp scissors, and then I took my duckbill applique scissors, and I'm trying on this one, I'm going to try to do the fabric and the batting, but I think I'll stick to my original plan because it didn't quite cut right. It's not neat enough. Make sure you get into the corners. The neater you do this part, the better the final is gonna look. So once you've done that, and I'm gonna touch it up a little bit, I fiddle with it, turn it over and do the exact same thing on the back. So you're just simply cutting the fabric. Try not to cut the lines like I did, but it's a bit of a struggle. Just cut the fabric, and all you're going to be left is the water soluble stabilizer. And you can see how this cut work is going to work now, can't you? We've cut it out. There we go. Now it's going to do the finishing stitches. And once it's done, the finishing stitches, you'll be done with your block. And all you have to do is wash out the water soluble stabilizer over the cut work, which is a gorgeous way of doing machine embroidery. The cut work, so gorgeous. and not hard to do at all. So once it's done, just wash out the water-soluble stabilizer and voila, you have cutwork. So we have in this Heirloom Centerpiece by Anita Goodesign, or any, you know, design that you do that has these elements, you can learn how to do it. Trapunto, we did quilting, and then we did cut work, and those are 3 techniques and 3 skills that'll carry you a long way in machine embroidery and doing designs properly. When you go to do trapunto, you'll understand that it's meant to make that certain part higher, and cut work, you cut everything but the water-soluble stabilizer. So stay tuned for part 2, because we are going to stitch the back together. I struggled with it a little bit, but in retrospect, you know, hindsight is 20/20. It actually wasn't that difficult. I kind of messed it up, but I'll show you guys where I messed it up. And what it's meant to do is that you can turn it over and you can have a whole different design on the other side. So if you're really clever, you could do Halloween on the front and fall or Christmas on the back and just flip it over. It'll still have cut work, it'll still have everything. Really cool. So the sewing, and I'll also show you guys, if you don't want to jump in and do all that fancy schmancy sewing, you can do it a different way and just have the seams showing. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. So I really love how this turned out. I love the trapunto. I haven't done a whole lot of it. With my extra thick batting, it's beautiful the way it stands up. I'm just really happy with it. And the cut work and the black and white and the orange and black, I love it. I am going to try this with more traditional fabric. Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe Christmas. I don't know. And see how it looks. But yeah, learn the skills. This is a really, really awesome pattern, and I love it. Remember, we're going to give away this pattern in the live that we did with the Halloween bookmark. I'll link it in the bottom. So like the video, comment if you liked it, comment if you learned anything, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!